Panera just launched a product they call the Next Icon, and 2 months later, their employees are begging people not to order it. In this video, I'm going to show you what happened, and I'm going to show you what I would have done differently and what I would do right now to fix the backlash and all the fires that's going on right now, because there's 3 main fires that's going on with their campaign right now. Now, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Will, and I am a filmmaker and creative director, and I have been a digital marketer too as well for the past 5+ years, and successfully for one as that, and I've worked at 2 different agencies. And I believe that in this case, I am going to provide some pretty good insights to this campaign, because I love working on marketing campaigns and stuff like this as a creative director and digital marketer myself. So before we go into the actual 3 fires or 3 things that are going on right now, there are things that we need to understand first of what is going on with the campaign. Just an overview of what it is. The campaign is about Panera's bread salad stuffers, which is supposed to represent a strategic innovation aimed at revitalizing its menu and addressing evolving customer preferences. The core concept involves filling a specially designed Italian stuffer roll with any of Panera's bread salads, offering a handheld on-the-go meal option. Now, the overarching mission of the salad stuffers, the initiative, is to innovate within the salad category, and that's by using Panera Bread's established reputation for quality bread. And the goal is to create a portable, perfect bites experience that combines the freshness of a salad with the comfort of bread. And here are some other details of the campaign that's going on right now. They have TV spots, they are running social media stuff, they have a tagline, and they launched on April 8th, which is last month, and it's part of their full rice campaign that they are going on, which is apparently like some kind of $7 billion target to reach by 2028. But there are 3 big elephants in the room that is currently happening with their new campaign about the salad stuffers right now, which we will go into the 3 big fires. And number 1 is the food waste and the bread. This is just some notes that I've written down on my whiteboard here, or digital board, I guess you can say. And the bread innards are thrown away, so there's a big waste there, and that is the entire premise of what the entire campaign is being thrown under the mud for. Basically, only 2/3 of the salad fits. The dressing cups are thrashed. The management policy, they cannot give scraps to customers. They can't feed birds with it. And it's just all over the news. It's gone viral. It's gone all over the news, and people do not like that. And I wanted to address why this matters now and why I am addressing this as well, is because I want to give an idea of what creative direction actually looks like. And to me, it's not really just about putting together a mood board or coming together with taglines and then coming together with a list of influencers to work with, and then boom, that's your entire strategy and that's your entire creative direction. And I think that is just very flat. To me, creative direction is really about understand why something breaks before anything even launches, before it launches, and then working around those breaking points, designing around those breakpoints and fitting them into a proper narrative that will actually resonate with the people you are trying to target. And as for the second fire that's currently going on right now, is an employee revolution or revolt, as you can say. In fact, even in the actual subreddits of Panera, the employees there are also going crazy. They're exploding with the complaints from this campaign. And the thing is, when your own people within your organization are the loudest critic of whatever campaign you're working on, then that goes to show that there is a campaign building problem. It's not the operational problem. It's not the operation of things. It's the actual campaign that is happening. If your people internally are being the loudest critique of what's going on, unless it's very specific that you're saying that is something operational that is going wrong, then sure. But in many of the cases, if there's an operational problem that you want to fix, then you already know that before you even try to launch that campaign. And then the third fire that's going on right now is that the product quality is a little bit bad or subpar. Now, there are mixed feelings about these, especially on different platforms. If you go on TikTok or Instagram, you mostly would find mixed, maybe more on the positive side. But if you go anywhere else in news forums or whatever stuff, and in specific other TikTok videos and all that, you would actually see there's a ton of negative reviews about the actual product itself. So we have a product problem and we have a creative direction problem here. And what has happened here is that they built a product that had some kind of history with it, which was they did 20 iterations of it, right, before they came to this one particular product. But they had their craft products, right, and they tried to just throw it into some kind of fast food gimmick campaign, which is what has caused a lot of these problems here. So let's see the specific things that actually went wrong here with this entire campaign. And there are 5 main things here, which we will go over. Number 1, they led with the command and not the actual craft of the actual product, which just means that in their tagline, they led with this: stuff it. That was the entire tagline for the entire campaign of the salads that they were doing, which is what you call a behavioral slogan. And sometimes this works, sometimes that's good, and there's no problem with it. But in this case, they already had a story behind how they came about with that particular product, which was the 20 iterations that they did over time to figure out that this was the best one to use. But rather than them leading with that craft of how they did it, they led with an action, which in my case, usually I like to think of this, right? When you're working on a campaign or working on something, you want to do this. You want to invite people into a story or a narrative, basically. And in this case, what you're doing here when you're using this slogan, which is more action-based, a behavioral slogan, you are telling people what to do. You are telling people, instead of you inviting, let the people who you are targeting self-identify themselves into that story, and naturally and very easily they will open the door and let themselves into your story, into that narrative that you're building with that product, which is the craft of the 20 iterations. So that's number 1. Number 2, I'll use this actual red one here. Number 2, so I'm not going crazy here. They have a no waste pre-mortem problem, which, what does it mean by pre-mortem here? This is something that you do in campaigns when you're working on a campaign. Pre-mortem just basically means it's a technique that you use for risk management or decision makings when you're trying to imagine what are the possible scenarios that could make this launch fail, right? What are the things that could cause this campaign to fail? And you're kind of imagining the possibilities here. And that is what pre-mortem is. And the reason why you're imagining these things and trying to figure them out is so that way you can already address them way ahead of time before you launch them, before anything happens, so you don't have any backlash like this. Because the number one thing that is causing this campaign to fail is really the waste problem. Lots of people are talking about the waste problem from the actual breads, because they have to remove the inside of the bread and stuff in the salad, and they're just throwing away that bread rather than doing something with it or making sure they're having a way to tackle that. Because especially in the food industry, people are very sensitive, right? So you need to be careful when you're doing something like that. They are very sensitive when it comes to food, basically is what I'm saying. For the third problem here, their employees were an afterthought. I hope you can read my handwriting. I know my handwriting is a little bit crazy right now because I'm trying to be very quick with it and not waste too much time. But the employees were an afterthought. They didn't actually think about implementing or integrating their employees into their campaign, which is crazy to me in 2026. I do not know why we have people within your internal organization that you are not trying to take advantage of in a way. I'm not saying like in a bad way, but basically let them be part of whatever process that you're doing. Let them be part of whatever the campaign is that's what you're doing. Of course, willingly, if they have to. If they don't want to, that's fine. But if they want to, then all the better. Because there are many people out there who just love that kind of things and love being a part of something that their company is doing. And so, but in this case, unfortunately, it seemed like the employees were an afterthought, and that did not work in this case. Now, the fourth thing that is going on here that they completely missed the ball on, in my opinion, is the messenger mismatch. And I'll explain this because they brought on a guy called Jake Shane. I've never heard of him. I've never heard of him until this campaign itself, when I did my own digging into this campaign to figure out the details and all that stuff. And what I see from Jake himself, Jake is a good guy. It's just he's not a good match for what the campaign was trying to do. Again, it seemed like they just put together something very quick. They just put together this campaign as like a fast food kind of gimmick, again, as I said, and just try to put in a list of influencers, and they just saw, okay, we have this budget, let's go with this guy first and see how things go, and maybe we can expand and do this other stuffs. But they used him as the lead person, right, the lead influencer to help push this product forward out there. But unfortunately, I think that there was a mismatch here. Jake is talented, but he's more of a comedian. So we have a comedian here, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to promote something to an audience, right? You want to give, let's say, what is going to happen is you're going to make something light, you're going to have jokes and all that stuff that are there, which would be cool. But in this case, because that did not work, is because the comedian and the actual campaign goals, or the actual campaign, which was supposed to be on the craft, is actually a lot more serious, because we have food waste. Remember, we have food waste with that. It's a lot more serious, and it's a lot more story driven, I would say. It's a lot more story driven and a lot more serious than what was actually happening or what should have happened on screen there. So we have the history of the product being, or the entire products being, it's about your craft. It's about your craft plus innovation, which is one other key thing that they were trying to do, innovate on a product that they have, innovation, and they have heritage with it. But they did not find the right people to help mix and match with this. Instead, they found Jake, who doesn't go well with this. I'm just trying to do like a no here. Doesn't mix with this. Really, he's more of a comedian, so he doesn't mix with that. Now, that doesn't mean that you cannot have Jake in this entire campaign. Of course you can, but you can't have him as the lead. He is not supposed to be the lead. He was not supposed to be the lead, but in this case, unfortunately, he is. And now for the fifth mismatch here, the fifth problem that is going on here is, as we saw before, is the quality did not survive. I'll just put did not survive the real world. And that just comes down to one main thing that happened here. They did not do proper testing. They did not test it properly before they launched the entire product. And what I mean by that is, I think they did a pilot in I believe they did it in Norfolk and in Charlotte. They did a pilot there, but they did not actually fully test it to see, will this last in the bag? How are actually people handling the actual product themselves? Are they getting soggy? Do the portions actually fit? Are the portion sizes good? They did not test any of those. And these were the problems that pertained to the actual quality of things that made the quality, unfortunately, bad. The whole experience with the new product. So with that, now I'm going to talk about what I would have done differently for this particular kind of campaign. So number one, I would have led with the brand. I would have led with the bread, not the stuffing. And the reason why I say is because the Italian roll, the Italian stuffer roll, is actually innovative in a way, right? It's not anything super new or groundbreaking, but it's actually innovative, right? They have 20 plus, let me write that here. They have 20 plus iterations proprietary to them. And it's designed to hold dressed salad, which is pretty cool. Lead with that. Lead with the bread, not the stuffing. I would have led with that. And I would have said something along the lines like this, the kind of story to invite them. This is a story. Let me write it here so we have it here. This is a story about obsession. This is a story about a brand who refuses to settle. And this is what I would have led with. This, so I can invite people into this kind of story rather than the story of stuff it. And my narrative would have been something along the lines of this. Panera spent 20 attempts trying to make a bread that could hold a salad. Every single one failed until the 21st one. And this was the campaign that I would have said for the tagline or the name of the campaign, 21st try. Now, with this kind of tagline or with this kind of title, lots of people can resonate with it. That goes to show grit. It goes to show someone who has tried something, failed multiple times until they have succeeded. That underdog kind of story, this is that kind of story too that lots of people can connect with. Not stuff it. Not this. What is that? What is even that? Stuff it. Oh, come on. You had something so good here like that. The 21st try. That is such a cool story underneath that. And I don't know why they didn't start with that. They didn't lead with that. Anyway, this is what I would have done in this case. Okay. So this entire campaign wouldn't be about stuffing it into the bread, right? Just stuffing it. See, I know people try to play on that name a little bit, which would have been done well if they actually did it well, but they did not. But in this case, it's not that. So this would have not been anything about stuffing it in. It would be about what happens when a brand cares enough that they will try 20 times before they can put something on your plate, right? That's what this story would have been about. So how I'm going to launch this in phases will be something along the lines like this. Let's go with phase 0 here. This is what I would have done. Okay. We'll start internal. Start documenting whatever the process is that we are doing internally. That's already marketing assets you can already start with there. And the story is already there too in the actual process, not the actual product too. So start internally. That's what I'll do. Show many times that we are failing with, getting this product right, and the effort and the level of effort and grit that it takes to make even one product like that is going to fit on the menu. Show that process. That's what I would have done. The proper tools, all of that stuff, the whole planning of the tongues that you're going to use and all that stuff like that. And then making sure I involve the employees into the process to get their feedback there as well, because employees internally, technically, they're free. I mean, the feedback that they'll get from there, they're free feedback. So you can get feedback from actual employees. And technically, in a way, you can also start making them or in influencing them, I guess you can say, become more advocates for whatever product that it is that you're working on. Because if someone is passionate about something, especially internally, yes, they will want to brag about it, especially if they work at whatever the thing is. So that is something you need to think about. But this is what I would have done. As a result, you have the employees as the wave of the very first earned media that you get, because maybe they'll start teasing stuff that they are working on. Oh, Panera is working on this very cool thing. You guys cannot wait. You guys are not ready for it, or whatever the case is. You have those kinds of people, right, internally that want to do that kind of stuff. And of course, encourage that and welcome that. Now we're going to phase 2. This is where we're actually crafting the story. And this is where I would do something along the lines of a hero content, which will be the mini doc, right? A main documentary video that would go over, again, using the footage from phase 1, from what we have captured and documented. And now we have finally reached the 21st try. And that's I guess the name of the hero document that we can also make, the hero doc video, the 21st try. And in this video, we want to show a lot more grounded stuff, right? That is showing the kitchen, showing people hands-on, showing the marketing team, showing the R&D team using whatever thing that they need to do to make sure whatever stuff of this product is actually in place and working together. Like show the effort basically in this hero content, and that's what it would be. And then we go into the second phase here. In the second phase, this is where we are starting to craft different narratives around the main narrative that we have, which the different narratives would be addressing mainly the friction that we could possibly have gone. And this is where you would have probably already done the pre-mortem. This is when we would have done the pre-mortem to figure out what are the possible areas and angles of friction. And this is where the second phase will come in, trying to address those areas of friction embedded into the actual campaign, not as as what is happening right now, which is just a crisis response at this point. So, and when you start implementing the food stuffs, right, the food waste things into the actual campaign of how you are handling the food, like maybe you're doing something very different. You're going to fry it out and you're having it as a side, or you're going to fry it, add some oil on it, put some nice little croutons or whatever stuff on the actual innard that you have removed from the bread, and doing something with it, basically making it a side that comes alongside the actual product. That would also pretty much eliminate all or most of the negative friction that will come with a program or with a product like this, right? So you already embed that into the actual campaign itself. And that just goes to show, I have the message here that we thought about the whole product, not just about the part that you ate, because right now, that's what it is. They've only thought about the part that you ate and just stuff in it. And now we can go into phase 3, which is where we are starting to now expand a little bit more when we have a little more data on stuff that's going on, right? And now we can bring someone like Jake Shane or another type of person who is very much into craft, innovation, and heritage. Those 3 things. You need to bring someone who really resonates with those kinds of things. Jake will still not be the main person in my campaign, unfortunately, Jake. But we'll bring you. Jake will still be a part of the campaign, trying to promote it and have a more light-hearted notes on the other side of things. Maybe something to address a part of the friction that's come with the campaigns like this. And basically now we have the foundations built for it, and we can start amplifying it, and we start looking at UGC content, and you're looking at other influencer type of marketing, and so to try to promote the content and promote it at, and also maybe even try to implement some kind of natural earned media from your actual customers in a way, like including something in the bag that I'm not really sure what it will be. Maybe some kind of postcard or post note or photo or whatever stuff of the actual process that was made with. Maybe you have like maybe 5,000 photos of these, and the first 5,000 people to get the actual stuffed roll will actually get the photo in there. That kind of thing, that kind of campaign like that, and have people start wanting to post this more on their social, post them more on wherever they are, usually on social media platforms, and you just have a little earned media from your actual customers themselves. And then you have your value messaging upgrade here, which is the $2 upgrade that you can have to mix and match the integration and all that. And for UGC, we'll have different taglines for different campaigns. So people who are doing UGC videos for you or UGC content for you, they can choose whichever direction they want. So if they are doing one like this, which is show us how you stuff it, which is cool. We're still using the stuff it's there, and that's just more like the lighthearted note, and that's where you can implement Jake in there. If you have a more different one, you can show us how many times you've tried and failed. That can be something else, another tagline that another UGC style of people might want to create content about them and their struggles of how they've tried until they have succeeded or something like that, or they are still in their journey of trying to actually eventually succeed at some point. And that's just what you want to think about, and that's what I want to that's what I'll be doing in my phase 3. And then moving into phase 4, the final phase here is the actual campaign that is ongoing now. We are doing employee spotlights now. Now we are doing the second life that I call it, which is the addressing the friction points. And this is where we are looking at the metrics and looking at other stats and other data that we might be looking at that will help impact the messaging on this, like maybe the sustainability part of things here that is very good, or there might be some kind of motivation angle to this, where the people now who have seen this kind of campaign have seen a brand try so many times and failed. Now they have tried so many times too, and well, they have succeeded, and you can collect those things as well and start promoting that and integrating it as part of the campaign and making it ongoing. And that's just what will make this a lot better than what it already is currently. And I have a couple of notes on this side here that I'm just going to mention right now on why this particular strategic thing that we have is going to work. Number 1, the craft story justifies the price, and you're not paying $10 for a salad in a bread. You're paying for 20 iterations of R&D that is now made possible. And number 2, the sustainability program kills the waste story before it's born. So you have 2 ways. Again, there are even now that I'm thinking about it, there are food waste companies out there that you can partner with, that I would actually partner with too as well, to help reduce the food waste and just put a public statement out there that, hey, this is what's going on. Number 3 with this campaign, the strategic campaign of why it will work too, is that your employees will not be critics anymore. They will actually start being amplifiers to the actual product campaign, because they work with something that they love so much, they will naturally want to share something that they love. And the campaign, of course, has a much in-depth story with it behind it that can connect on different levels, be it the serious level of people trying so many times and then failing, or the lighter level of them stuffing it, how you're stuffing it in a way. So you have a light note and you have a serious note. Of course, you're leading more with that serious note. So that's my strategic take on everything of what I would have done differently for a campaign like this. But it's already going on right now, so what can we do right now to fix it? So if you are listening, Panera Bread, listen to this. This is what I would do to fix whatever this fires that's going on right now. If you remember, we have 3 main fires, but we're going to fix them. Step 1, as you see, own the waste. We need to own the waste in week 1. Own everything that we are doing and say we apologize, and we will do better. Basically, you're not going to hide anything, not going to spin anything around and say, oh, we were doing this, but we were doing this. Just own up to it and move on from there. And in this week 1, you're also going to announce the second life program that I had in my initial strategic document, which is more about implementing a way that you're going to address that food waste. So you have 2 ways, or you have other ways. Either you partner with a food waste company to help you with the waste and make it reasonable, or you make good use of the waste, where basically when you're removing the stuff, you have it as a side or something. You fry it up, add some whatever olive oil thing in there, fry it up and make it good, make it crispy, or whatever the case is. Something that's not going to take a lot of time for the actual employees to do, so it doesn't increase the amount of time to make that product. Is just an added benefit that you can use with it. So that is just something even better that you can do in this case. So that will be the program, the second life program, right? So we have your first life, this is your second life now. And in step 2, I'm going to have some employees intervene with what's going on here. First thing we're going to do is get some actual new tools, some new resources and all that. So when the product is being handled, nothing breaks, nothing gets soggy or whatever the case is, and you actually train the employees properly on how they can make this very smoothly, make the product very good, not make it a hassle for them basically. And you can start maybe implementing some kind of form on your website or so, where employees can actually start putting in their feedback or their ways to improve the actual products. Or you can talk with other people too as well at headquarters or something like that on how they can improve the product to make it even better than what it is right now. Make it much better, make it much more efficient. And I'm sure you would get lots of great insights from internal sources. And step 3 is to reframe the creative here. You're going to remove and reduce the whole stuff it thing. Again, you're going to shift it more towards the 21st try, shift it more towards that narrative instead. And then you're going to start amplifying the positive reviews that would be coming in, or that you already have right now, because it's not all bad. There are some mixed reviews again, but start amplifying the good ones that are coming out. And then in step 4, we're going to fix the delivery packaging, because that is still a problem that is going on. All right, so you have a couple of options here. You have the delivery packaging fix, the pre-dressed salad option, the portion accuracy, full salad must actually fit in the actual roll, and then best within 20 minutes communication. That's what you're going to say. Hey, it's going to be done with you in 20 minutes or less. It's very easy, simple as that. And that's going to help improve the perception of the quality and the actual quality of the product itself. And then finally, for the second launch of the product, you're going to do a second launch, right? And we're going to run it for a month to a month and a half, maybe even 2 months, depending on how good it goes. But run it for about a month to a month and a half. And once the fixes are live, you start relaunching the second live program. And basically in this entire second launch, what you're going to do is basically, we heard you and we fixed it. That's just basically what it is. We heard you and we fixed it. Or here I've written, we listened and we fixed it. That is the entire premise of what's going to happen with this second launch here. And of course, you're going to lead with the narrative again of the 21st try. My strategy or a different kind of strategy, but just reduce the entire stuff it's premise of it, because it's not really working out right now. Now we have something that we do in creative direction where we talk about, okay, how now we know we have made the mistakes, how can we prevent this from happening next time in the future? And this is where you're going to come about it, right? The 4 gates here, and we're going to go over the 4 gates very quickly here. And the very first one is that we already want to do internal testing, employee stress test, right? Already start internal before you go external. And here are just some of the questions here that you can go over and you can understand. By the way, if you want to look at this entire Excalibur that I have here, I'll put it in the link in the description so you can take a look at it, explore it, do whatever you want, and have fun with it. But I'll put the link in the description if you're curious about getting this. And then for the gate number 2, what you're going to do, or what you're going to figure out next, is the actual pre-mortem side of things, right? You're going to actually do the Reddit headline exercise, the pre-mortem. Figure out first what are the possible angles that this thing could cause friction to a launch like this, and already address them way ahead of time. And then number 3, what you want to do next, moving forward, is you want to ask yourself a series of questions before you go into the actual launch. But survival questions here, real world questions. Does it survive 30 minutes in the delivery bag? Actually test it out. Does it look like the photos after you transport them? Because if we have expectations that do not meet reality, you get a lot of flack for it online. Now you look at, does the full portion fit? Does everything actually fit? Or are you actually just doing some kind of way to cut corners, basically? It's not a great look. And I put a note here that these are actually creative requirements. They're not just logistics. These are requirements of the product to be successful, the product launch to be successful. And then for the final one, the final gate here is our messenger, the messenger match that we were talking about. You want to look and see whoever is your lead person. You want to really think, do they really match what the product actually is, or are we chasing like the wrong voice or the wrong audience or whatever it is? That is one of the big things that is going to be a part of your campaigns moving forward, or part of our loop moving forward, right? Our pre-mortem system. So these are things that you want to keep in mind when you are actually trying to do the next campaign, your next products. And for any brands out there, these are the kinds of things you need to be looking at if you're doing some kind of product launch. Most campaign failures aren't creative failures. They're failures of imagination, not imagining what could go wrong and not designing the campaign around those breakpoints. The pre-mortem system and the loop that we have here really does force you to think about those things so you can already address them ahead of time and not have to do some kind of crisis management at this point now. So to wrap up everything here, this is the whole creative direction principles that we just talked about for this entire campaign. Lead with the craft, not with the command. Employees are your first audience. Design waste or sustainability into the launch itself, especially if you are in the food industry. You want to match the messenger to the message. Find the fractures before the audience actually does. A campaign without that is just a 6-week burnout, and it's actually something you want to really avoid. So at this point, this is pretty much the end of the video. If you're a brand, I hope you understood and took in a lot of the learnings from this kind of campaign. These are the kinds of things that I plan on doing on this channel. Again, I am a filmmaker and creative director, and I have been a digital marketer for over 5 years successfully. And now I want to kind of use this channel as a way to just exercise my own creativity, my own technical aspects of things too as well, and make sure that people out there are actually getting lots of values from the kind of videos that I make. So with that being said, if you enjoyed this, let me know your thoughts on this kind of campaign. Let me know if there are any other kinds of ideas that you may be thinking of that could also help improve this kind of campaign like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be just for Panera Bread themselves, but maybe it could be for something else. And if you have any other campaigns that you think I should also go over and see my own perspectives and insights on how I would have gone about that campaign, let me know. I would love to see and dive deep into those things as well, because that's just something I do all day long, really. So if you like this video here, I don't really have another one to link back to, but I believe that YouTube will let you know that you probably will like this other video here. So enjoy.